Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another Reader's Magnet featured author interview. My name is Mark, and I am your host for today. And together with me is one of the Reader's Magnet featured authors that is here to share her journey as an author and share more about the inspiration behind her book. Now, everyone, please help me welcome Ramona Alfames. Hi, Ramona. How are you today?
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for asking. I just want to say thank you for attending our interview today, and we're so happy to have you here. And we are very grateful as Readers Magnet that you chose our platform to share your story with the world. And to be honest, personally, I'm really excited to have this interview with you because I just can't wait to know more about you and your book. But before all of that, Ramona, can you please introduce yourself first to our audience?
Sure. So I'm Ramona Thomas, and I'm a native Californian. I
Mhm.
currently still live in California, and I've been writing books for quite a few years now. They're all children's books.
Mm.
I have written historical fiction, I've written fantasy fiction, and realistic fiction stories.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Ramona. Now, let us start with knowing more about your book, I Don't Know, or IDK. Now,
Mhm.
I'm really intrigued about the title IDK. Can you please walk us through about how you come up with this title and what's the relevance of this title to the context of this book?
Sure. So IDK is actually a book, it's historical fiction,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes place in a typical California school where you have a lot of students from various ethnicities. So you
Mm-hmm.
have students who are Asian, students who are African, students who are European, and then you have a Black American student who can't answer what should be a simple question that the teacher asks, which is to name the origin of your cultural food. So all of the other students can answer the question and he can't. And he's very embarrassed by the fact that he can't answer the question because he's a smart student. And one would think that that should be a very easy question to say, well, can you name the origin of your cultural food? And he can't because it's pretty much a complicated history behind the food. So that's why it's entitled IDK, which means I don't know, because he couldn't answer the question. And basically, the reader will go on a journey with him as he goes to his
Mm-hmm.
village. His village includes his parents, his grandparents, and the internet, of course. He does a lot of research because he's trying to understand the foods that he and his family have been eating for years. What is the origin of the food? And in the quest to learn about his cultural food, he shares information with his fellow classmates and he also learns about their cultures.
Okay, wow, that is a really interesting book and story. Is this a story type or storytelling type of book,
Yeah,
Ramona?
I believe it, I would call it that. This is it. And it's about, I
Mm,
think,
okay.
16 chapters, but I included recipes at the end of the book too.
Mm,
So
all
there
right.
are recipes for the foods that his family enjoys.
Very interesting. Now, can you please tell me what inspired the idea of this book?
Yes, I can. As a Black American, I
Mm-hmm,
too, and many, I'm learning, many adults even today don't know the origin of some of the foods that we eat. And what I
mm-hmm,
discovered through my own research when I was researching for the book is that some of the foods that we enjoy today actually traveled to America during the actually during the 1500s, 1600s, 1800s during slavery. So some of those
mm-hmm,
foods that we eat actually came from Africa. And they're not just foods that we eat, but they're foods
mm-hmm.
that a lot of cultures enjoy, but they don't necessarily know where the foods originated.
Okay, so I actually saw it on your book synopsis that you've mentioned a soul food. Can you please help us describe or what is a soul food?
Right. So I'm glad you asked that question because
Mhm.
that's kind of like the frustration of the main character because
Mm.
our food in America, Black American food, is typically referred to as soul food. But the frustration is that Seoul is not a country. There's Seoul, Korea, that's a city, but there's not actually a country. So when,
Mm-hmm.
say, for instance, Jana Kita, who's one of the characters, she knows that the origin of her food is Japan, or Jose knows that the origin of his food is Mexico, and Kumar knows that the origin of his food is India, right? So
Yeah.
Black Americans typically don't refer to their food or our food as American food, but there's a history that explains why that is the case.
So basically, the story of this book is also like a quest of Kindle or the
The
character
protagonist, yes.
discovering more about what the soul food is, and
Yeah,
that would
well, not so much
me.
why it's called soul food. So he's been eating
Mm,
this food, right? And he knows that
mm-hmm.
it's called soul food, but he doesn't know why. Like, why are we
All
even
right, all
eating
right,
it soul food, right? So that's pretty
okay.
much like the direction of the book. And that's why it is historical fiction, because it
Mm-hmm.
actually has a lot of historical facts in the book that teaches the reader, so it's very educational. It actually could be used as a supplement in a history class, in an American history class, because it actually tells a story not only of the food, but in some instances, what was occurring in the country at the time and why the food ended up being named soul food.
Okay, wow, interesting. Now, I'm really interested about your what were you aiming for? What do you want your readers to take away after this book? After reading this book?
Well, I'd like the readers to take away some historical facts about Black history, but not just Black
Mm,
history, because it's really American history, because the history occurred in America. So we tend to, in this country, kind of segment everything, like we segment people, but in reality, it should just be a part of American history. And in this case, it is focused on food.
okay, so what were you aiming to achieve after writing this book? Correct. I'm sorry for asking. When did you publish this book again? The
April
IDK.
April of this year, April of
Mm-hmm.
2023. And
So.
my goal is really for educators. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Currently, it is in two libraries, and my goal is for more librarians to become aware of it, so that it can not only be in public libraries, but libraries of schools. And like I said, I believe that it's a great supplement for any teacher who's teaching history or who just wants to educate students about different aspects of American culture.
All right. So yeah, so basically, this book will will give us a time or help us discover more about the culture of the Black American people and their culture and heritage, and also help us discover what a soul food is. So basically,
Yeah,
that's the meaning of this book.
right.
All
And
right. Wow. Wow.
if you want to have an opportunity to cook some of the food, there's
Mm-hmm.
several recipes that are included. So it can be an interactive experience. So,
Oh
for instance,
wow.
anyone who reads the book and says, "Oh, that sounds pretty good. I want to try that recipe," then there are a few recipes at the end of the story. But it really culminates with International Day. I don't know if I mentioned, but the setting of the book is the school. It's International Day. The reason that the teacher asked the question about the food and the origin of it is because they are preparing for International Day. And International Day in America at schools typically means that the students from various cultures have an opportunity to share something about their culture. And this particular instance, their class or Kendall's class has been nominated to lead the International Day. And because they are leading it, they've decided that they want to make their International Day celebration a full celebration with foods and um, that's why the teacher said, okay, you're going to have to give a speech. So your family's not just bringing food. There's a speech that culminates at the end. And part
Mm-hmm.
of the speech is to educate people about the food that each student is bringing. So it could be used really in a school for International Day or like
Mm-hmm.
History
Mm-hmm.
Month or a supplement to a history lesson. But as I mentioned, it's historical fiction, but there's a lot in the book that was researched that's actual, historical fact.
Exactly, exactly. The book is really, really interesting right now, Thomas. But you mentioned that the book also has some historical facts. Did
Mhm.
you have any struggles experience while writing the book? Eh,
Um, Struggles?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I first started writing the book, I entitled it Mouthful. So it
Oh.
was really changed to IDK very late in actually after I had finished almost writing everything. And um, I also struggled with how to use more contractions in the book so that the characters sounded more real, like they were really speaking like people speak. So I think initially when I wrote my first few drafts, it was very standard English, not a lot of colloquialism.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that by adding more contractions and making it more like people don't typically say, I am going. They might say, I'm going, right? So they use the contraction. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
go back through the book, read every character in the book, and try to make them sound more real, more realistic as people would talk as opposed or speak as opposed to sounding like an English book.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. So, have you experienced any writer's block, given the fact that you've managed to already write lots of book already, different types of genres? Did you ever experience any writer's block, and how do you handle that? And what can you can you share an advice to other writers there of
Yes.
how to avoid writer's block?
Well, one of the things that I do
Mm-hmm.
is I when I'm thinking about a story, I have
Mm-hmm.
ideas that pop up at any time, right? An idea might
Mm-hmm.
come to mind while I'm driving, or it might come to mind right before I go to bed, or just any time.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've done to try to remember what it is that I came up with is I actually call myself. I use my cell phone. I call myself and I leave myself a message. And it's a little weird when I'm listening to my messages to hear my own voice telling me, like to remind myself of something that I wanted to be sure to include in the story. So that's one way that has been helpful to me is to actually
Mm.
call myself. If I had a tape recorder, but in this case,
All right, all
it's
right.
easy for me to pick up my cell phone and leave myself a message. As far as writer's block, also, I have had that. And what I've done is I've just put what I've been working on away, and I may not go back to it for 6 months or 4
Oh,
months or
wow.
whatever. So
Mm.
I've just taken a break. And then when I go back to read what I've written, I have fresh eyes. So I'm able to, come up with,
Continue.
yeah, some new
Okay.
ideas. So yeah, taking a break
Okay.
from it has been real helpful as well.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for that, Ramona Thomas. Now, for your last question, Ramona, is there any event that you are going to attend soon? Because now is the perfect time to inform everyone about it.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. So, I will be attending the Frankfurt Book Fair, and my book will be exhibited in booth number 60A32. So, if people are looking for my book and want to know more about it, please visit that booth 60A32, and that will be at the 2023 Frankfurt, Germany book fair. And then also, I will have my book at the Guadalajara International Book Fair, and that's the 2023 book fair that will be held in Guadalajara. So I'm very excited that my book will be featured in both of those locations.
And those events are not just any book fairs, Ramona. Those book fairs are really, really big, and one of the leading book fairs are
Yeah, the
existing right
one,
now. So
I think Frankfurt is like the largest.
the largest,
Yeah, the
yes.
largest. So I'm really
And then
excited.
Guadalajara is the second next
Yes,
largest. So
yes,
like, yeah,
yes.
wow.
So both
So,
international, and I'm really excited
mhm.
to be
And
featured
we
in
are
both.
excited as well,
Yes.
Ramona. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Ramona L. Thomas. I think I have asked all the questions for you today, and this would conclude our interview for today. But for the last time, Ramona, can you please show your book again and then
Oh,
invite everyone
sure,
to buy a copy?
sure. Yes, this is IDK, and I didn't talk much about my master's degree in education, but you can see I have a master's degree in education, so I think that credentializes me for writing an educational book.
Mhm. Wow, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So, thank you so much for your time, Ramona L.
Thank
Thomas,
you.
the author of the book I Don't Know, or IDK. The book is available on Amazon. And again, thank you so much for your time, Ramona. As we say it here at Readers Magnet, we share your story with the world. Bye, Ramona.
Bye. Thank
Thank you
you,
so
Mark.
much.
Bye.